The Indiana Fever just achieved something that seemed impossible 3 months ago. They're now 4 games above 500 for the first time since 2015, and they did it without Caitlin Clark on the floor. But that's not the shocking part. While everyone expected them to struggle without their superstar, they just broke 4 franchise records in a single game against Paige and the Dallas Wings. But here's what nobody saw coming. 2 players who weren't even on the roster at the start of the season just became the heroes of this incredible story. So what were those 4 records broken? Here's a hint. They involved Kelsey Mitchell, Aaliyah Boston, Natasha Howard, and newcomers Ari McDonald and Chloe Bibby. Everyone expected the Fever to crumble without Caitlin Clark, but something magical happened instead. Picture this scene on August 1st. Clark sits on the sideline for her 6th straight game with that groin injury she picked up on July 15th. No timetable for her return. The Dallas Wings book American Airlines Arena, home of the Mavericks, with Paige leading the charge, hungry for a win after dropping 8 of their last 10 games. The pressure was real. Could the Fever keep their hot streak alive without their superstar running the show? I think it's been about, we've had some practices, and I think practice and it's definitely toned us up, fine-tuned enough as far as the details. We knew before All-Star that, the second half of the season is always about people making adjustments. People find out ways to start what we have to do. And I think that on us, we try to do a good job of staying locked in at practices and shoot-arounds and all that kind of stuff to be where we need to be. The opening tip revealed everything you needed to know about this Fever team's mindset. They came out swinging like they had something to prove. No hesitation. No waiting around for someone else to take control. This wasn't going to be a survival game. This was going to be a statement. Kelsey Mitchell grabbed the reins immediately. She attacked the rim with purpose, knocked down confident shots, and set the tone that screamed, "We're not backing down." Mitchell finished with 23 points on 9 of 19 shooting, leading the team while carrying the load that Clark usually handles. She led the league in scoring throughout the entire July, but Paige wasn't about to roll over. The rookie sensation fired back with 22 points on 7 of 14 shooting, adding 4 rebounds, 4 assists, and 2 steals. She was the only Wings player to reach double digits, showing why she's considered a 3-level scorer in her first WNBA season. This created the back-and-forth battle that had fans on the edge of their seats. Here's where it gets interesting, though. The free throw numbers told a controversial story. Dallas shot 25 free throws compared to Indiana's 13. That's almost double. Fans immediately jumped on social media, questioning the officiating and accusing Beckers of flopping to draw fouls. Even Wings head coach Chris Caitlinclarknews expressed frustration with the officiating crew after the game. The real disaster came from Dejanay Carrington. The reigning most improved player had an absolute nightmare performance. Just 4 points with 5 turnovers. In the final minute of the third quarter, she dribbled up court and launched an errant shot that had fans shaking their heads. Her struggles became a major factor in Dallas falling apart. When the final buzzer sounded, the scoreboard read 88-78 in favor of Indiana. The Fever had just proved they're way more than Caitlin Clark plus 4 players trying to keep up. They showed they could win games they were supposed to win, just like Coach Stephanie White acknowledged after the victory. Finding ways to get wins, and that's going on some scoring bursts, that's being able to rely on multiple players, getting stops when needed, making adjustments and continuing to grow. This is a group that's been resilient all season long, and I think that we have such quality depth that we can rely on one another, and rely on one another in certain moments. If 2 players who weren't even on the roster 3 months ago just became the Fever's secret weapons. Meet Ari McDonald and Chloe Bibby, 2 mid-season pickups that nobody saw coming. These weren't headline signings. They weren't supposed to change everything. They were depth moves, insurance policies for a team trying to stay competitive. McDonald's story reads like something out of a movie script. She was unsigned at the start of the season. No team wanted her services. Then the Fever called on June 25th with a rest-of-season contract offer after being with the team for a couple of weeks prior on a hardship contract. Fast forward to this game against Dallas, and she's dropping 15 points with 6 assists while running the offense like she's been there all year. This came right after her career-high performance against Phoenix the game before, where she showed she could handle bigger moments. Here's what made McDonald special that night. Her point guard instincts kicked in immediately. She knew when to push the pace, when to slow things down, and how to get teammates involved. Coach White noticed this right away, saying McDonald has a point guard mentality and understanding of her impact on the game. Kelsey Mitchell called her a blessing in disguise for how she stepped up when the team needed leadership most. I think the biggest thing with Ari is that she's dependable. And she's dependable not always for production, but she understands the impact that she can make in the game. And she understands how to do it, starting it on the defensive end, pushing pace, dictating tempo, getting to the rim, creating shots for her teammates, all of those things. And she's got an incredible awareness. And so she understands when she's hot, and she understands when somebody else is hot and how to get them the ball. But I've just been really proud, to see her confidence grow in our system and the ownership that she's taking in being that leader on the floor, for us. Then there's Chloe Bibby, who made an immediate statement. She knocked down 2 crucial three-pointers in limited minutes off the bench. Those weren't lucky shots. They were perfectly timed momentum builders that gave the Fever breathing room. Bibby's ability to stretch the floor created space for other players to operate. Coach White praised her quick integration into the system, saying she understood how to make plays and showed readiness to shoot when opportunities came. But here's where it gets really interesting. After just 2 games with the team, Bibby earned herself a rest-of-season contract. The Fever saw enough in those limited minutes to commit to her for the remainder of the year. She addressed a specific need that White identified, noting that Bibby is a stretch forward and she's a shooter, and we haven't had that. Well, number one, just the way that she fit in right away. She gives us a different look from that forward position with her ability to stretch the floor. And particularly in 2 games where we really needed to create space for AB to go to work inside, she was able to do that for us. She came in and she learned the system right away. It just was such an easy transition, and she's produced. These 2 unknowns became the difference makers in the Fever's biggest winning record since 2015. McDonald provided the point guard leadership they desperately needed. Bibby gave them the floor spacing that opened up the entire offense. Coach White's system clicked because these players understood their roles immediately and executed without hesitation. The Fever weren't just surviving without Clark anymore. They were thriving because players like McDonald and Bibby stepped into roles they weren't originally signed to fill. But they weren't the only ones making history that night. While everyone watched the scoreboard, the Fever were quietly breaking records that hadn't been touched in franchise history. 4 different achievements happened in one night. These weren't just good performances, these were record-breaking moments that rewrote what this team could accomplish. Here's the first one that shocked everyone. Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard became the first WNBA teammates ever to record at least 10 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and 2 steals in the same game. Think about that for a second. In the entire history of the WNBA, no 2 teammates had ever achieved those numbers together in one night. Boston put up 12 points, 11 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, and 1 block. Howard matched her with 11 points, 16 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 steals, and 1 block. Let's talk about Howard's 16 rebounds specifically. That was a career high for her. She dominated the boards like she was playing against high school players. Boston extended her double-double streak to 5 games with her 11 rebounds. She's been consistent all season long, but this performance showed she could elevate her game when the team needed it most. But that's not all. Kelsey Mitchell now leads the entire WNBA in most 20-point games after the All-Star break. Her 23 points against Dallas marked her 13th game this season with 20 or more points. Mitchell has been the steady scoring threat that keeps this offense moving even when other players struggle. Here's where it gets really interesting. Chloe Bibby set a franchise record by hitting multiple three-pointers in each of her first 3 games with the Fever. Those 2 three-pointers she knocked down weren't just nice shots. They made history. No other Fever player had ever started their tenure with the team by hitting multiple threes in their first 3 appearances. The 4th record belongs to Ari McDonald. She became the 3rd fastest player in Fever history to reach 150 points and 50 assists. The only players ahead of her on that list are Caitlin Clark and Tamika Catchings. That's elite company for someone who wasn't even on the roster 3 months ago. McDonald's ability to score and facilitate has been crucial in filling the point guard role. But for us, will we get a chance to really put ourselves in a position that, win games? We got to win them. I think any competitor knows that. We would say win 'em, and I think we took some time off, we had a little drop off today, and I think that's what she's talking about. It was inconsistent. I think it could have been a little bit better. 4 records in one night proved this wasn't luck. This was a team finding its identity and showing what they could accomplish when everyone contributed. The Boston-Howard combination gave them front-court dominance they hadn't seen before. Mitchell provided the consistent scoring punch. Bibby stretched the floor immediately. McDonald ran the offense like a veteran, but the real fireworks came after the final buzzer. Kelsey Mitchell's post-game comments contained a subtle message that Fever fans had been waiting to hear. The locker room buzzed with energy after their historic win. Players were still riding high from breaking 4 records in one night. Mitchell stepped up to the microphones with confidence radiating from every word she spoke. Her words seemed innocent on the surface, but there was something deeper brewing underneath. Mitchell praised her teammates for stepping up and filling roles when certain players weren't available. She specifically highlighted Ari McDonald's contributions, saying, "This is our blessing in disguise." That phrase hit different when you consider the context of recent roster moves. Our season was all over the place, obviously, what you know. The people that was on the team, the people that wasn't on the team, injury, Tutu not been around as much with her injuries. It just, it takes a lot for a pro to step up and, be where her feet is and fill in shoes that, not a lot of people expect. And I think for Ari, she compliments myself, all other players so well because she just gets it, as far as knowing where people are, knowing the chemistry. And I think for us to her, we have to make sure that we keep pat on the back because this is a big position to fill. And I think that she's doing unbelievably well. So shout out to you, Paige. Shout out, Lavi. Here's where it gets really interesting. Mitchell's comments about McDonald being a blessing in disguise carried a subtle jab at DeWanna Bonner's departure from the team. The Fever waived Bonner earlier this season, which freed up resources to keep McDonald and sign Chloe Bivy. Mitchell's praise for the new additions suggested the team felt liberated after those changes were made. She went deeper into McDonald's impact, stating, "We always tell her that we appreciate her seriously because our season was all over the place, and it takes a lot for a pro to step up, be where her feet is, and fill in shoes that not a lot of people expect." This wasn't just praise from McDonald. This was Mitchell, acknowledging how much better the team chemistry had become with the new roster construction. Coach Stephanie White emphasized the team's us versus the world mentality paying off in a big way. White's focus on resilience and overcoming challenges became the foundation of this team's identity. The players bought into this mindset completely. They started playing with a chip on their shoulder that translated into wins on the court. Players talked openly about their improved chemistry and competitive edge after the game. There was a sense of freedom in how they moved and played together. The energy felt different. The commitment to each other seemed stronger. These weren't just empty words after a good win. This was a team that found its identity through adversity. No number one or energy. She's an energy giver. She's fast. Her speed changes the game for us. Her ability to get the ball from one end to the other quickly. Her ability to get into players defensively. She changes the game for us in that way. I have continued to be impressed with just how quickly she immersed herself, into our team and fit in right away. The anticipation for Clark's return added another layer to the excitement. Imagine this record-breaking group getting their superstar back. The chemistry they built without her will only get stronger when she rejoins the lineup. Mitchell and the rest of the team know they've proven something important during this stretch. The Fever weren't just winning games anymore. They were building an identity that could carry them deep into the playoffs. The pieces fit together better than anyone expected. The roster moves created better balance. The players embraced their roles completely. And with Clark coming back to join this transformed team, 2025 is looking brighter than anyone imagined. This Fever team just proved they're not just Caitlin Clark plus 4 players trying to keep up. They're a legitimate championship contender with depth that nobody saw coming. 4 records broken in one night. Players like Ari McDonald becoming the 3rd fastest in franchise history to reach 150 points and 50 assists. Chloe Bibby setting shooting records in her first 3 games. Aaliyah Boston and Natasha Howard making WNBA history together. With Clark returning to join this record-breaking group, the WNBA better take notice. The chemistry they built without her will only get stronger, The best is yet to come for Indiana, and 2025 might be the year everything changes.